Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video, here to talk all about Crimson Desert, one of the biggest game releases of the year. And honestly, look, I don't want to make a statement that could be too hyperbolic. It could be one of the biggest PC games of the year, maybe even the biggest. Slay the Spire 2 just came out and it cracked 500,000 concurrent players. I'm thinking Crimson Desert is going to break 500,000 concurrent players easily, but one of the questions a lot of people had was, hey, am I even going to be able to run this game? How difficult is this game going to be to run? Well, now we've got a ton of clarity on that. We have the full PC system requirements that I'm going to break down every facet of it. But before we get into this video, our friends over at Fanatical do have the game 15% off, $59.49. The Digital Deluxe Edition is 15% off as well for $67.99. Link in the description box below if you do want to pick it up a little bit cheaper. You'll get a Steam code. The code will redeem directly on Steam, and guess what? You're gonna be good to go after that. You won't pay tax either, so you're gonna save quite a lot. Link in the description box below, and get yourself a copy of Crimson Desert a little bit cheaper. So, obviously, Crimson Desert is looking to be one of the most ambitious games of this entire generation. It is looking to be one of the most compelling open world games in a very long time, maybe even of all time. I mean, there are games like Red Dead 2 that exist, but Red Dead 2 has been compared to Crimson Desert, or rather, Crimson Desert has been compared to Red Dead 2, but the one question that remained was, am I actually going to be able to run this game? Well, guess what? We finally got PC system specifications for the game, and not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 tiers of system requirements, which is what I like to see. Always love to see that. And on top of that, you get exact specifications. What settings can you expect? What preset? What frame rate? So on and so forth. Love to see that. So let's break it down tier by tier. Minimum requirements: upscale 1080p from 900p at 30 frames per second. You're looking at an AMD Radeon RX 5500 XT and an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1060. Again, that is 30 frames per second. Ryzen 5 2600X and an Intel Core i5 8500. Across the board, it will be 16 gigabytes of RAM. But hey, a GTX 1060 still managing to run a game at this caliber, I think that's pretty damn impressive. Look, it's not going to be the ideal way to play the game, but a 1060, a mid-level GPU that's how many generations old, still being able to run the game, that's pretty magnificent if you ask me. Low preset, that's 1080p 30 FPS, so no upscaling there. AMD Radeon RX 6500 XT, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1660, Ryzen 5 2600X, and an Intel Core i5 8500. Look, a 1660 still pushing this game. I think that is rather good as well. So I would say that's a pretty big W on top of that. Then you get into recommended. This is where, people are really going to be able to enjoy the game and appreciate the visuals and everything like that. 1080p 60 FPS or 4K at 30 FPS at the graphics preset of medium. You're looking at a Radeon RX 6700 XT or an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2080. CPU, a Ryzen 5 5600 or an Intel Core i5 11600K. That is recommended. Again, medium graphics preset, 1080p 60, 4K 30. Then you're looking at the high graphics preset, 1440p, 60 frames per second. Bear in mind that, again, when we looked at the minimum requirements, they had specified upscaling. So with all of these, I would imagine this is no upscaling being utilized. No DLSS, no FSR, nothing like that. So keep that in mind. Again, high graphics preset, 1440p, 60 FPS, an AMD Radeon RX 7700 XT or an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4070. Again, this is going to be a premier way to run the game. 1440p 60 FPS, Ryzen 5 7600X or an Intel Core i5 12600K. And then lastly, the Ultra Graphics preset for 4K 60 FPS. Yeah, this is for you ballers out there, the high rollers. AMD Radeon RX 9070 XT and an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5070 Ti, AMD Ryzen 7 7700X and an Intel Core i5 13600K. RAM, 16 gigabytes of RAM across the board. So there you go. Those are the 5 tiers of system requirements for Crimson Desert, and now this game is finally, I think, for a lot of people, feeling like a more realistic title, given that I think the issue a lot of people had was the fact that, hey, am I going to be able to run this game? Just how well is this game going to run? And while it's not going to be a game that's super easy to run, look, we have to be a little bit forgiving. You can't, and I know sometimes it's different people saying different things, but I feel like there is this notion of, oh, these games over the last few years, they're actually not pushing our hardware. But then when you do have an ambitious game like a Crimson Desert, you want to also be like, oh, it's not optimized, it's asking for too beefy hardware, etc., etc. Look, this is one of those games that, based on what we've seen thus far, it looks like an incredibly compelling open world game. It looks incredibly ambitious. The visuals look stunning. I can go on and on about how great this game looks from a raw visual standpoint, but it also looks like it's incredibly optimized. And bear in mind that Digital Foundry has been given codes to the game across the board on all platforms, and they're going to be able to test out the game, and we'll have actual insight into how this game is going to run on March the 18th when the embargo is lifted. Beyond just the PC specifications, they've also given us PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 Pro specifications and Xbox Series S and X specifications. I'm not going to go into that, but this looks to be one of those games that will incentivize you to have a PS5 Pro. I mean, the actual value of a PS5 Pro has been put into question quite a lot, but with PSSR 2, Resident Evil Requiem just coming out, I feel like now if you do want to go the PlayStation route, there's actual reason to pick up a PS5 Pro. And with Crimson Desert, Wolverine coming out, Grand Theft Auto 6, and Resident Evil Requiem just dropping, those are some major titles taking advantage of the hardware, but across the board, it looks like that this is a game that's scaling well, that even if you don't have the best hardware in the world, and whenever I see a minimum GPU requirement of a GTX 1060, even if it's gonna be not the ideal way to play the game. Look, we're talking about upscaling from 900p to 1080p and getting 30 frames per second at the minimum preset. That's not the ideal way to play the game, but the fact that this game can even run on a 1060, that tells me this game is pretty damn well optimized. And then again, you're talking about it scaling up to a 5070 Ti if you're looking to play it at 4K 60 frames per second. And then also, they do give us a bit of insight on ROG Xbox Ally and Xbox Ally X performance on top of that. So a lot to sink your teeth into with Crimson Desert. Gonna be one of the biggest games of the year. I foresee it smashing numbers on Steam and peaking at just ridiculous numbers. I could see 600, 650, 700,000 concurrent players, and some people might think that's crazy, but now that this game is starting to be real, and I think over the next week, you're just going to see the excitement ramp up and ramp up. Oh man, I think this game is going to do huge, huge numbers. Again, Fanatical, get your copy a little bit discounted, link in the description box below, and if you do pick it up, I get an affiliate kickback, which is much appreciated. Let me know your guys' anticipation level for Crimson Desert now, all your thoughts in the comments section down below, and as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.